And it's time for another surf report, everybody. Thanks for being with me. We have new energies swirling in and a new kind of surf report, new little format. I hope this at least works for this week. We have some new software that's going to be rolled out, and there might be some noise in the background as I'm talking, so let's just muddle through this. We're going to start with the summary slide, and this is a vastly different kind of slide already, as you can see, because there's not a bunch of overlap. Now, what I have overall, we have, for those of you who are new, I've got the purple circle, the bigger circle is referencing the astrology memes. And then we're triangulating with the dream bot. That's the collective unconscious with the dream words, what everyone's dreaming. And then we do an I-Ching reading. And the I-Ching reading is in the blue. It is completely related to part of the astrology. The dream bot is also directly related to the astrology, but it's the dream bot is the opposite of the I-Ching, and not the opposite, but different. It looks like it's not congruent. However, as you're going to see, the dream bot is actually part of the solution. So when we do the I-Ching readings, there's two net results. There's the initial coins that get tossed, and then you have a hexagram. And the resulting hexagram then is going to be the solution for how to best use the energy. Well, as you're going to see, the solution, the second I-Ching reading, second hexagram, is exactly what the dream bot is saying. So in other words, the collective unconscious is seeing the solution. So you're going to be able to feel the solution through this, hopefully. I know I'm talking in parables. Ultimately, we have positive, easy, opportunistic aspects in the astrology, with exception of one day. I think that's Friday. And we're going to nail down day by day. We also have a lot of Uranus in opposition, so a lot of potential changes, and we'll get into that. And then we also have full moon in Aries. Everything is leading up to that full moon on Sunday, and it's in Aries. And so we're facing reality, but with power. Aries, power. Facing reality is the returning. I know that doesn't make any sense to anybody so far, but don't worry. Hopefully it'll all make sense when it comes together. We're going to first look at the astrology. So let's go. Now, as you can see, the diagrams are a little bit different. I got some software. Now, I'm going to show you some advantages and disadvantages. We don't know all the advantages yet because this thing is very much evidence-based astrology. It's the Kepler software. And there's a lot of things that we can do. First of all, we've got the housing system now. So we can look at where the planets are in relation to not just the signs, the zodiac signs, but also the houses. So 1 through 12 are on the inside. We also have the aspects. I'm going to hopefully clean this up in subsequent surf reports, but I'm going to get my focal point out here so that I can better show you some stuff. So right in the center, this is where all the aspects are. Now, here's one of the disadvantages, is that the planets themselves aren't necessarily placed in the perfect place, but the number gives you exactly where that planet is. So we have to look at the numbers, not just where they are. Now, the neat thing is that the planets are placed inside of the houses, okay? And I expect to get some feedback on this. In my opinion, the advantages are going to ultimately outweigh the disadvantages, but we just have to get used to this new format, and I'm going to do a lot more exploring and getting used to this software, and we're going to be pulling out a lot more cool things from this software suite. So here on Monday, the 7th of October, this is, I'm going to clean all this up in the middle, but ultimately we've got a grand air trine. So check this out. So you've got this triangle here, and it's trines. So it's Mars trine, Moon trine. This is the MC, so the midheaven, and midheaven has everything to do with our achievement in the world, or kind of our life purpose, or the career, what we're going to be known for in this life. And so it's a move forward kind of energy, and a grand air trine with the moon is going to be transitory because the moon's going fairly quickly. But it's all in air signs. We have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And so it's very, very cerebral, very mental. And this really is going to make sense. We're going to be coming back to this when we start talking about the I-Ching. And it's about return. And the I-Ching is about returning, and a lot of this is going to be cognitive processes. So thinking a lot is going to be, but it's beneficial. It's easy thoughts. It's about what we're going to be, what's the purpose of all this. Mars wants to achieve stuff. So that works absolutely perfect with the MC. And then of course the moon is there with our emotional response. And so we're congruent. We're emotionally invested in our life purpose, our plan. And then we've got, with the Mars energy to carry it out, Mars in Libra is social, so we can bring in other people to help us in teamwork. So wonderful. This is in the morning. This chart itself is date stamped at 4:14 a.m. on the Monday morning. So you're going to be waking up to this wonderful energy. And then later on in the day, Mercury is going to oppose Uranus. And right here, Mercury is making its way through Scorpio. And there's going to be an opposition, not with Mercury and Uranus, but Venus and Mercury. And both of those aspects are going to get stronger. So you can see Mercury is at 5 here, and then Uranus is up at 5. So they're very closely aligned, starting throughout this whole day on Monday. And so Mercury is thoughts, communication. We're going to have to balance that with whatever change is coming. Maybe we're changing our thoughts surrounding the world and what we thought about the world, or thought about Scorpio being so intensity. So intense thoughts are changing, or maybe we're forced to change, or maybe the thoughts change because something outside of us is changing. Okay. And then, Mercury can be short distance travel and also some education as well. All right. Later on in the day, this is another snapshot, and this one's at 9:14 a.m. And I pointed this out because this is a grand cross. You can see the cross happening vertically and horizontally. It's in the red. It looks like a big kite or a big square or diamond on the outside, because it's made up of square, 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 square. And one of those again is the MC. And also the bottom side is the moon. So, moon being transitory, this grand cross isn't going to last very long. So you've got on the other side, what we've already talked about is the Mercury opposite Uranus. So we've already got the change, but now we're including, it's even getting stronger, this idea about what our purpose is and moving forward, and all the thoughts associated with that, and the change that maybe has to take place, planning out what has to take place in order to get this life purpose out and about and moving forward. All right. So on Tuesday, there's really generally mostly positive aspects with the moon. The moon only has positive aspects. Moon trine Sun is at 4:21 a.m. and moon sextile Jupiter. And so you have easy opportunities. We have expansive opportunities on Tuesday, and that energy should feel flow, should feel like everything is flowing fairly well. Later in the day, there's another grand air trine here on Tuesday at 5:14 a.m. And it's the sun, moon, and MC. So it's going to do everything like we did yesterday, except it's the sun now, and the sun now is with the ego, the self-image. And so I'm starting to emotionally invest um, my sense of identity with this new career field. Maybe not career field, but life purpose, and whatever I'm going to be achieving next. Wednesday, on October 9th, this snapshot is on 514, and what we have to be looking at is the Mercury and Venus in Scorpio, and it's going to bracket an opposition to Uranus. And so we have an evenly spaced Mercury and Venus, evenly spaced with an opposition to Uranus. So what do we have when we have Mercury and Venus together? We have thoughts, we have relationship, we have beauty, harmony, we have beautiful thoughts, we have relational thoughts. Relationship, by the way, is very much in the dream bot, as you'll see later. So we're going to be coming back to this on Wednesday because of the Venus aspect coming into opposition with Uranus. Things might be changing or surrounding relationship. All right, now let's get into Thursday. And this is an evening because the moon is going to conjunct Neptune at 16 degrees Pisces. That's going to be fairly close to bedtime. And so dreams are going to be big here on Thursday evening. Big dreams, emotional imagination. Now, high risk for escapism is something that you've got to really watch for, because Neptune represents not just imagination and fantasy, but it also rules things like drug use and wanting to get high, or all the various drugs are located there. Not that, I'm just using that as one of the examples of how Neptune is like the escape artist. And this goes back to the I-Ching report, because when we talk about it later, you're going to see how we can't escape. We absolutely can't escape. We don't want to escape. That brings bad luck. It brings poor success. And so with these moon conjunct Neptune, look at all these experiences as fantasies, as creative opportunity for you. May not be real, may not even be close to real, but it could become symbolic or metaphoric. That's how we work with dreams. Big dreams on Thursday evening going into Friday. Friday is going to be a little bit different for the moon. The moon's got a square with Jupiter, and it has a sextile with Pluto. And so Pluto being the destroyer, there's an opportunity for ending a cycle, ending and rebuilding. That's what Pluto is. Emotionally ending something. But then you also have moon square Jupiter. And so you might feel this constricting thing. Things might be a little bit more pessimistic emotionally. Might feel constricted. And something might be dying and reborn in your life. On Saturday, we need to be aware of Venus opposed Uranus goes exact. So there's there's Venus, and it's going exact opposition to Uranus in Taurus. So there's a change in beauty. There might be a monetary change. There might be a change in your most intense relationships. But why intensity? Because we have Venus in Scorpio. Venus is already very harmonious, relationship oriented, but now Scorpio brings in an element of intensity. And so that intensity might produce some change. That might be a change where maybe you weren't intense before. This could be an opportunity to really make the relationship more intense if that relationship has kind of gone off into the wayside. It's a chance to bring back some intensity. So on Saturday, wait a second. Oh, that was Saturday. So sorry, Sunday. This is wrong. That should say Sunday, and it's on 10/13. This is the full moon. And the full moon is in Aries. It's right here, and it's obviously opposite to the sun. Sun's in Libra, 20 degrees, and so it's midway through Aries. Okay, so this is a little bit kind of a paradox, because the full moon is kind of in between, in the middle of a lunar cycle. But in this case, the full moon is in Aries, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. And so in a way, we've started over in the zodiac again. So in a way, this is a new cycle. And that concept, the newness of it all, is going to go into the I-Ching report. And so what I'm going to do is take the fundamental things that we talked about in the astrology, and we're going to scroll into the I-Ching report. And I'll elucidate this, this aspect as we go along, but I'm going to bring it in context with everything else. So the I-Ching reading for 10/7 through 10/13, and I'm going to have to zoom out so that we can see it all, is we wanted the biggest influence, and that's going to be through the throwing of the coins, 24, hexagram 24 with 2 change lines, and it's about returning. Now, what does that mean? We have thunder in the earth, and so there's rumbling going on. And so anyway, the Book of Changes says return, success, going out and coming in without error. Friends come without blame. To and fro goes the way. On the 7th day comes return. It furthers one to have somewhere to go. This one is implying that when you do this right, you'll have 7 days, you'll get your return. And isn't that crazy that in 7 days, you're going to have the full moon? And so it's a time of great success, that Aries. And also Aries is really about me, the ego, what my needs are. This is kind of the reason why, this is the reason why Aries folks get, addicted, is that they can't figure out a way to get their core needs met. They're not aware of their core needs and kind of separated from themselves, and so go off and use drugs to supplant that anxiety that's associated with that. So thunder within the earth, the image of turning point. And they talk about the kings of antiquity going away, or not going away, but returning to their kingdom for this period around the solstice period. This hexagram is related to the solstice period, which is kind of weird because it's another ending of a cycle. And this full moon isn't really, I would consider more of a new moon to be the end of a cycle or the beginning of a new one. But this one is different because it's Aries, and we talked about that. So it is kind of the culmination of an old cycle, if you will. And so anyway, thunder within the earth, the image of a turning point. The arousing thunder stirs the receptive earth and represents a turning point or a time for return. There may be a homecoming or a return to the past situation. But here's the kicker. Adversity has a way of shaving away illusions that no longer serve you. Let go and return to serenity to prepare for your flowering. Okay, so in a way, we've gotten too widespread. Some of us have spread too thin and working too hard, giving away too much of our soul, too much of our effort. And this is a time of centering. It's a time of going back. This is what the influence is, by the way. And so you're going to feel like you want to probably just maybe be alone and get more centered and plan and kind of relook things and see where you've missed maybe here or there. It's not a time of laziness as it might seem, but it's about really seeing life clearly. Okay, that's the key. It's whatever you need to do to get more clarity on what's really happening. Let's talk about those two hexagram lines. They were 4 and 6. 4 is a man in a society composed of inferior people, but is connected spiritually with a strong and good friend. And so because they feel like they're strong friendships, I'm not afraid of going alone. And that's that. So walking in the midst of others, one returns alone. Even if you choose to ignore the need to return to a path of real fulfillment, events may lead you there anyway. Shocking can describe unexpected events that alter your course for the better. All right, and then line 6. If a man misses the right time for return, he meets with misfortune. The misfortune has its inner cause in a wrong attitude towards the world. In other words, he blames outer circumstances for having missed this return. Now, you've got to remember that what we just talked about, 24, hexagram 24, the return is not the solution, but it's the influence. But I am starting to think that it's a great part of the solution, since we're feeling like this need to center, to look and find where we've missed life. It's a time of serenity. It's a time to go within, look at life purely, but here's the solution. When you make those changes in the hexagram, you get hexagram 21, gnawing bite, biting through. We now have fire over thunder. Biting through has success. It is favorable to let justice be administered. This hexagram represents an open mouth with an obstruction between the teeth. As a result, lips cannot meet. To bring them together, one must bite energetically through the obstacle. Okay, so ultimately, this reading is saying that hexagram 21 is just saying that we got to bite the bullet. When you come back to that center and see life clearly, you're going to see areas that have maybe been ignored over time, have problems have been accumulating. There's no escaping anymore. Remember, especially with the moon conjunct Neptune, that was on Friday, I believe. Or Thursday night. There's no escaping anymore. It's come back to center, relax, be aware of what life has been, has become, be aware of what the problems are. And this hexagram 21 is the solution, which is biting through this, is not being afraid to tear into this problem that has been developed. It's not afraid to go, pushing through this obstacle that was before you, that's been keeping you from your life path. Remember how strong the midheaven was in the early part of the week with the air trines and the Grand Cross with the MC. This has everything to do with your life purpose. And so the centering is not just a, get recuperated from a hard period, but it's more of getting more accurate picture of what life is, what your obstacles are, where you're going in life. Then the solution is gnawing, biting through, and just trumbling through these issues that have been keeping you from where you want to be. Reading at a glance. Oftentimes we feel that life is unfair. However, if we look at the natural world, there is nothing resembling justice. Nature merely evens out its extremes or removes blockages to achieve balance, and this truth will eventually come to light in situations that you face. You are part of nature. If you have attached yourself to illusions of right and wrong that block your forward progress, biting through will dispel the illusion. So, and use the analogy of being chewed over, like you've got some food in your mouth and maybe it's tough. It's a tough problem, so it takes a little bit longer to chew through all that. Don't skip out on. Don't swallow it too early. Don't digest it too early. Like stew on it and think about it. We have those positive Mercury aspects. All right, now we need to get into the dream bot because it puts this all together. I waited until the end on this one. This is the collection of dreams. This is what everyone's dreaming about. Marriage being the top. Remember the relationship, the Venus opposed Uranus. Relationship is in the red. And the red arrows have marriage, passion, relate. And then it has masculine words, the word masculine, energy, father. And so it's a masculine type of relationship. And then you have the blue arrows, which is, I double tapped passion because it's a yang energy. It's a grit. It's moving forward, moving through. This is the biting through. This is the hexagram 21 is in the blue arrows. And so the blue arrows is by far the biggest meme. And it's if you put those together, put the red and the blue together, you have a masculine type of relationship with grit, passion, moving forward. So in a nutshell, it is about moving forward in life. It is about biting through. It's about having a lot of grit. And then the smallest meme here is the hexagram 24, which is just kind of, considering things and centering. It's only 4 words, but it's meaningful because that influence is still showing up in the DreamBot, the influence of where we got before. All right, let's put this all together and see what we need to do. This is the summary slide. And I'm not sure why. Oh, got to do that. All right. So on the top is the influence. If you remember, we have a full moon, we have air trines, especially with the MC in the midheaven and your life purpose. There's a lot of thinking that has to be done this week, but it's contemplation, it's the influence. It's very positive. It should be easy to think. It should be easy to see life clearly other than Thursday night with Neptune conjunct the moon. But that's the influence, is just contemplating. Come back to center, quieting your mind down, maybe meditating all week. And then the solution, though, is once you see life clearly, it is biting through it. You've got a tenacious dog here. And dog was actually part of the DreamBot run, which is interesting. We're not fearing obstacles. We're not fearing resolving problems. We're not avoiding problems. We are taking big bites out of problems, clarity and judgment. We're using grit and passion, which is other words that were in the DreamBot. Yang and masculine energy to move through. You got that Mars energy that was there, especially at the beginning of the week. These are all things to help you move forward, move through, and focus on those problems that have been there in the past. Focus on the things that have been holding you back. This is the week to knock those things out. Okay, so center first, or center frequently, so that you can see life clearly. Then find the issues, bite through them, work through these problems. Don't just create problems just because we're looking for them. Make sure these problems are relevant to the ones that are holding you back to the life that you really wanted. So a lot of times we make fights with areas of life that are irrelevant. So we keep us caged in because we're not stepping out of the box. So we're still fighting the same enemy, but we're using all of our energy fighting that old enemy. Maybe it's PTSD. So we're keep on fighting the flashbacks of that event, and we're not moving on in life. So make sure you're not just creating problems just to keep you in the ring, because that's the influence. This is, no kidding, the energy that looks for accurate assessment of problem sets, of life, of obstacles. And this is the week to not be afraid of them, not try to circumvent them, not go around them, but bite through them. All right. I hope that all makes sense. And Give me a couple more weeks on the astrology slides, make those a little bit cleaner and nicer. And that software has got such a large thing, large amounts of things that can really help us move forward in these surf reports. So have a little patience with me, but do appreciate all your feedback, and we'll go from here. Enjoy your full moon, and use this week very wisely. It's a great energy to work with, so enjoy it. Thanks, everybody.